We're looking at in-home digital pianos today from two great manufacturers, the Yamaha CLP-735 versus the brand new Kawai CA401. We'll be listening to both of them, talking about the sample used for the piano and also about the feel of these two amazing instruments. Stick around, we will be comparing them.
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in downtown San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. Make sure to check out our new website, alamopianogalleries.com, highlighting our 9 stores across the country. You can check out which one might be nearest to you so you can come in and say hello. Ted, we are talking about some really cool instruments today, kind of that entry level to the digital piano world, that in-home digital that everyone's kind of accustomed to seeing. Comes with the bench, the pedals, the stand, and almost looks like an old Spinet.
This is a classic comparison between two really decent keyboards.
And so before we jump right in, we do like to start our videos with a piano fact. I thought we've touched on this before in some of our acoustic videos, but this piano fact is directly about these two storied manufacturers, Yamaha and Kawai. Kawai, sometimes people don't recognize as immediately as Yamaha because they're not involved with as much outside the music industry, but Kawai was actually the first piano technician that
he built and created an upright piano action
with Mr. Yamaha. And so they were actually part of the same company way back in the day. So Yamaha hired, as the legend goes, it was a boy in his village who was Mr. Kawai, Koichi Kawai. And so these two manufacturers have a very rich history coming from the same village in Japan, Hamamatsu, Japan.
Same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Same neighborhood, and right around the turn of the 20th century, or the turn of the 19th century. So it was like right 1890s to 1900s, I think. Right in that early 1900s is when
Mr. Kawai built the very first working piano action, and that allowed Yamaha to begin manufacturing pianos. Mm-hmm. And he worked for him up until the day that Mr. Yamaha died. And then around that time, he started to organize his own piano company.
In 1928, he broke away. So Mr. Yamaha had passed away, I think, within the first 20 years of the company. And another family took over and honored Yamaha by keeping the name. But Kawai actually went off and made a piano-specific only company that manufactured right out of Japan fantastic instruments. So here we are, how fitting today. It's almost more than 100 years later, and we're talking about some of their newest products in the form of a new instrument that is the digital piano. Which some people think is the beginning of the end of acoustic instruments. We kind of disagree with that sentiment. I don't think they'll ever be as good as acoustic instruments, but the attractiveness of the price and the ease of owning a digital piano, not having to tune it and being able to move it around quickly, just makes it a very attractive option for a lot of people looking. The COP line, the Clavinova line, has been around for a very long time. The Concert Artist series, that CA line from Kawai, not as old, but has been a staple of the digital piano world for quite some time now. Both of these are going to be similarly priced, and feature sets are very similar between the two of them. As you move up the line, they get, I would say, a little bit more similar because they're offering their best actions and all this. At this price point, the CLP-735 comes in at $28.99. The CA401 comes in at $3,099. So about a $300 difference between these two. But underneath the hood, looking at some of the features and the sounds, the actions are going to be completely different. As you look at the Clavinova, you get their, they call it the Grand Touch S, their slimmed down Grand Touch action, plastic keys, and then when you look at the Kawai, you get it's their Grand Feel compact action, which has wood keys, and it's a longer wood key. But as an acoustic piano player,
it feels a lot better.
It feels better to have wood keys right underneath your fingertips. As you move up the Clavinova line, the CLP-745 does have wood keys, but as far as similarly priced, you wanted to look at the CLP-735 and the CA401. Tell me what your experience been playing. You've played a lot of Clavinovas, you played a lot of Kawai digitals. As far as what you get with the sound sample.
Well, the sound sample on the Kawai, to me, is fuller and rounder and bigger. Not that I have anything against the sound of the Yamaha, but I do believe that it's just my own personal feeling. I love the way that the Kawai plays and sounds in this price range. And this is the same price for the CA401 that I paid for a very first generation Clavinova when it had a clavitone and it had 3 different tones in it. And they really weren't, it was an 8-bit machine, so it didn't have that great of a sound. The action was okay. I mean, you could play on it. It was like a piano, but there was nothing fancy about it. At the same time, the 735 has been one of our top sellers. We've sold a lot of 735s. A lot of them get included with labs because they have a little bit more things to them than the 725s or the YDPs. But the 735 is a top seller. It's into a lot of homes. What I like about both of these products and both of these manufacturers, as I've repeated quite a bit, is they are the only 2 digital piano products on the market that are made by manufacturers of true acoustic, upright, and grand pianos. Anyone else that makes a digital piano doesn't have access to their own piano tones for sample and their own library of piano experience, as well as R&D to draw on. Both of them have extensive R&D departments. Yamaha probably more so because they make so many instruments. And the fact that they do make so many instruments is why Mr. Kawai left. He just wanted to focus on a piano. And so here we are, like you said, 100 years later, and these 2 manufacturers are meeting again at a competitive point to where they both produce competitively priced upright and acoustic grand pianos, but it's fiercely competitive in the digital market now because they're a fraction of the cost of what a real piano costs.
Yeah.
A true acoustic. And digitals, there's no way around it. They're the most practical way to learn piano right now.
And when you look at these 2 spec sheets next to each other, there's some issues but there's some big differences between the 2. We did highlight the first one, the wood keys versus the plastic keys is probably the first one. They're a $300 difference. You are paying a little bit more for the Kawai. Once you move down and you look at the piano samples, you get the CFX and the Bosendorfer. You get binaural sampling, which is they've mic'd it like you were sitting in front of the instrument. And you get a little bit more voices. I think it's 36 voices on the Yamaha, where on the Kawai you get 19 voices. You get their SKEX, their Shigeru Kawai 9-foot piano sample. It's the competition grand, which was a big announcement that they did on this new 401. And so the 401 has a competition level sample, and that is also kind of the same idea of binaural, but instead of it being a binaural sample with the headphones on, it's set up like that, ready to go with the sample. So you don't have to put headphones on to enjoy the player perspective. So there are more voices on the Yamaha. There also is more polyphony. So the Yamaha has a 256-note polyphony, where the Kawai has 192-note polyphony. So that's how many notes can be held in sequence while you're playing before sample rate starts to drop out. Kawai has a really cool app that goes with theirs. It's a piano remote, and you're able to change, that they call a virtual technician, and go in and actually change some of the
piano parameters.
The piano parameters and the modeling that goes on behind their SKEX sample. Yamaha has a cool application called There's called Smart Pianist, which kind of unlocks some of the features and puts it on a touch, puts it on your iPad if that's what you want to do. Both of them are going to have similar layouts for their sound system. I believe the Kawai is a 20 watt by 20 watt, 40 watts total. The Yamaha does jump up. I think it's 30 watt by 30 watt, so 60 watts. So you get more wattage out of the Yamaha. And then, get, of course, the more voices. Bluetooth capability is only going to be on the Kawai. So you do get Bluetooth audio, which is a nice feature to have, especially at this price point. You can connect your phone to it and play music out of the speaker system. You can enjoy Bluetooth MIDI, where your phone connects wirelessly to it, and you're able to control that piano remote and the piano, the virtual technician through technology, instead of having to wire in the connection like you would have to do on the Yamaha. But let's take a listen. Let's actually hear some of the samples, some of the sounds. That's going to be the big difference. Again, the way it feels and the way it sounds are the most important things, especially when you're at a digital piano. that's trying to replicate the acoustic feel. So I would say we've already edged out the Kawai action. It's going to feel a little bit better than the Yamahas with those wood keys. But let's take a listen to the sample because, you know, Yamaha, the CFX might be a better sample for you. You might enjoy it more. But let's take a listen to both of these and come back and talk about a couple more features.
Well, Patrick, I had initially thought that the 401 actually had more amps in it, a bigger sound system. And then after going in and listening to it, I realized that the 735 was louder.
Yeah, a little bit louder. You get a little bit more boom from it. It's interesting that we just looked at that new Yamaha that had come out, the PS500, and it's almost got the same wattage. It's 50. Instead of having 60 watts, it has 52 watts. But that little extra wattage sounds good in a room like our size.
Well, that polyphony fills up the empty spots that you do get in the middle, and in it does make a difference from the 192 with the Kawai to the 256. Other than that, though, my big thing on the CA401 is that competition grand sample. That thing to me is just like cleaning out your ears.
Well, it's a brand new 2023 sample where the CLP735 has been around for 5 or 6 years now. And so, a little bit of an older sample, you would assume when they relaunch that line in a couple years that they'll probably do a new sample on it. But yeah, no, the competition SKEX is a fantastic sound. Yeah, and they didn't say that they changed any of the action, but it seems like over the 49, the predecessor, it seems to be a little bit of a smoother action. I think they changed some of the bushing or some of the cushions that go into the actual noise of the instruments.
Well,
not
it's
as
from when
clicky.
the keys hit, so it's not as thumpy, I guess, would be the way to say it.
And so, both these instruments, again, are very, very similar as far as price goes. As far as feature set, you get a little bit more recording capability with the Yamaha. But again, you get the wood keys with the Kawai. So it's kind of like, where are you going to draw the line? Sometimes people look at both of these and say, well, show me what the next level up is. And it might be easier for me to make up my mind. And that would be the CA501 and the CLP735. Those ones, we'll do a video comparing those when we get the 501s in. But those, sometimes people are like, hey, it might make sense for me to get that next level up where I get more feature set from both of these. I get the wood keys from Yamaha, I get the bigger sound system, more voices with the Kawai. So, it's kind of what were they willing to cut away to get it in a price point, is what you kind of see in this price range. Both, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. I think
no, there isn't.
I think both will be very loved and enjoyed. If you are trying to decide between these two, both of them are, whichever one's going to inspire you more, whichever one you like the look maybe more of. The display on the 401 is a little bit nicer. It's an OLED versus the little lights that Yamaha has had on their block system. But yeah, both incredible instruments. If you've owned a Clavinova CLP line or if you've owned a Kawai CA line, please leave comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know what people are going to be reading comments on here. Let us know what your experience has been. Hey, I got the Clavinova. I wish I would have done this, or I wish it had this. Those will always be very helpful for people, I think, looking in this price range. It's a big chunk of money, and a lot of times it's a beginner looking to take that step and get something nice to get them started. And I think insight from more than just us and from a community, I think, would be very helpful. But thank you guys for watching. Again, make sure you're subscribed so that you can see when we do compare that 501 to the 745. We'll be making that as soon as we get those 501s in, and we'll continue to make you guys some really good content. Thank you guys for watching. Ted Barslew, I'm Patrick Marr. Again, you can find us online at Alamo Music or Alamo Piano Galleries to see one of our 9 locations that might be nearest to you. And come in and say hi. Come meet some of us. We'd love to say hello. Thank you guys for watching.